Surprise, motherfucker.
Yes, guys, it's Wednesday. This is your Flower Hour. Welcome to the most messy show on Ace Podcast Nation, nay, Cardiff City World. I am not only joined by my brother from another mother, Mr. Matthew Angel. I am joined by Welsh Football League legend, and not only that, most importantly, my ex-college tutor at the College of Knowledge, Mr. Neil Smothers. How the devil are we all? We all good?
Yeah, all good. Nice to see you both. Been a long time since I've seen you both in class, boys. So it's nice to catch up with you.
Yeah, I was saying to Rob before we come on live, I think I only stuck college for about a month or two. I got a full-time job with my dad when I was 18, earning like 25, 26 grand, and that was it. Seen the dollar signs and I was gone.
Yeah, you're not the only one. You're not the only one, mate. There's a lot that have followed suit, so there's no problems.
I do look back at it now, though, and I have regrets, really, and I think, but, you know, if you've got to play the cards that are dealt to, haven't you, I suppose.
In fairness, a lot of the tutors at college probably wish I did the same thing, in fairness, but sadly for them, I stuck around, but there we are. So, obviously, welcome, mate. It's so lovely to see you again. Just for those of you who are new to watching us, and for Neil, who may not seen much of us before, when we have our guests on, talk about your career, how you got into football, what you're up to now, things like that. Talk a bit of Wales, Cardiff, and things like that, basically, as well along the way. And of course, a lot of interaction from our beautiful people in attendance watching along. So yeah. So should we just dive straight into it then, if that's all good with you all? So if I may, Neil, going from the beginning then, obviously football, you had a very good career at Welsh League. How did it come about? How did you get into the football in the first place? What gave you your love of football?
I suppose I would imagine similar to most other people, Rob. I went to watch my old man play on a Saturday afternoon for like the local league teams. So every Saturday afternoon he'd pack me off. I'd be in the car with him and going to watch him and taking my ball with me. And then having a kick around on the side, watching them, seeing them have a bit of fun after the game, a couple of beers with their mates, and that kind of hooked me in. So from then on, just being around it in the house, my older brother used to play a little bit. So yeah, I suppose he was going with my dad pretty much every week, like I said, round the North Gwent valleys. I'm watching him play in the mud lots.
That's mint. So talking about when you first started then. So who was your first club?
Camarthen Forest. Yeah, Camarthen Forest. So started back in the old days. You couldn't start till you were under 8s. I started playing under 7s, but I couldn't play for the first season, so I just trained. So Camarthen Forest, my team, and when I look back now, like I said, 7 and 8-year-olds on full-size pitches, 11 aside. When I look at the pitch and the size of my boy now, who's just turned 8, some great memories. But yeah, so Camarthen Forest was my team all the way through pretty much youth. I had 1 or 2 different teams, but yeah, that's predominantly where I started my love for the game.
I want to jump in here, Rob, if I can.
Yeah, of course.
When we just going back and talking about grassroots. Obviously, I know, like you said, and back when I played, you play on full pitches from an early age. We went on tour to England, down to Somerset last year, and what was we then? Under 9s?
Yes, mate. Yeah.
Under 9s, yeah. And they'd already been playing on the pitches that we're playing on now this year at under 10s for perhaps 2 seasons, I think they said, Rob, and the pitch was miles bigger.
Huge.
Any idea why that's the case? Why are we so far behind England? Or
I don't know, to be honest. And again, I don't also know if bigger pitches and things like that are the way to go at that age. I don't know all the research. I know some of it. But for me, at that age, it's about getting as many touches on the ball, small-sided games. I know a lot of other countries, they play 3v3s, 4v4s. They don't even contemplate going up to 6s and 7s. They just keep small-sided games for the duration. So I'm a big advocate of people touching the ball as much as possible, and obviously the smaller team sizes, smaller pitch sizes means that they get more touch to the ball, more one-on-ones, more defending, more attacking, and then as they get older, then the pitch gets bigger. But again, with that brings different challenges. If the pitch is bigger, you're talking about more space, more one-on-one defending, more 1v1 attacking. Whereas if the pitch is small, you're probably talking tighter spaces, quicker passing, less dribbling, because it is a smaller pitch. So I could be honest, I'm not sure, Matt, on that. But like I said, for me, it's just getting them touching the ball as many times as possible and getting them to make decisions without us telling them what them decisions are.
Yeah, the way I looked at it, I thought perhaps, but when you explain it like that, perhaps that's a good thing then for Welsh football, that we are, they are playing on smaller pitches for a little bit longer. It is increasing their, technical ability, being able to pass and things. So there's me thinking that we are behind a couple of years, but in hindsight, perhaps, it'll do us better in the long run type of thing.
Yeah, look, I think it depends where you want to go at the game. And if you want big pitches, then you are going to get more space and more 1v1 duels. If you want to work on, being compact and being quick on the ball, then if you make that space smaller, then you've got less time on the ball. So I think it depends where you want to get out of it, and that's where I think training comes into it. It's quite important that you vary. Sometimes you've got a big pitch, so you get them 1v1s. Sometimes then you change it the week after and you got a small pitch, and you haven't got that space. So as soon as it comes to you, you're looking 1 or 2 touches and you've got to move it, because if you don't, you're going to lose the ball. But it's exposing the players to as many of them different scenarios, which allows them to make, lots of mistakes, but lots of decisions, and I think that makes them better players.
Brilliant.
Really good.
I'm just looking forward to it. So they play on full-grown pitches, so you haven't got to blink and set the pitch up every Sunday.
And it's the numbers as well, Neil, mate. Like Ainge obviously touched upon it with the size of the pitches. We've only now, so we're under 10s this season. We've only now gone up to 7 aside, whereas we were 5 aside. No, 6 aside, wasn't it, last season? And again, with the team in Somerset we played, they were already playing with more numbers on the pitch, So I suppose same rules apply to what you touched upon earlier, really. Then.
Yeah, look, I think the more players on the pitch, the less people that can touch the ball. That's obvious.
Yeah.
And again, they have got to work out positions and things like that. But for me, at that age, it's about small 1v1s, 2v1s, 3v2s, 3v3s, 4v4s, where they get to make them decisions over and over and over again. Like I said, when I played under 10s, it was 11v11 full pitch. Probably 2 players on each side were the 2 best players, so they probably had about 60 touches each, and the other 9 or 10 of us were lucky if we had 3 touches in a game, And if I only get 3 touches in a game, then I ain't going to make massive improvements. So,
yeah.
So I think it's important about getting them and developing them. But like I said, my key thoughts are about as many touches as possible, as many decisions as possible. But if you keep them coming back and they're smiling, and they come back the week after, then that's absolutely the key thing. You're not going to make them better if they don't come back, and if they don't enjoy it, they'll vote with their feet, and you'll lose them. So I think that's the important bits for me.
Amazing. Switching gears, if I may, to go back about you. So obviously, gone through Kevin Forrest and things like that. Then, so you went on to obviously Welsh League eventually. Was it into Cardiff? Was your first club?
Yeah, I played for, I think, obviously I went through the county teams and South Wales schools and Welsh schools and things like that. I played for Newport when I was 17, 18. They had a reserve league, which is, again, where we used to play against Cardiff reserves, Swansea reserves, Cheltenham, Bournemouth, which was a great experience for me. And then in my second year, I had a couple of games for the first team. But then I went on to Cardiff Met to start my degree, PE teaching degree.
Yeah.
And at the time, if you went to that university, you had to play for them. There was no other option. So I had a couple of years in Welsh League Division 1, 2, and a little bit of Welsh Prem. And then after I finished uni, then I went into Welsh Prem, which is pretty much where I spent the most of my career.
Can you talk to us about the Welsh Prem? I obviously, with it's glowingly obvious with what's happened this year with Europe, with TNS playing in. Is it the Europa? Is it Europa League or the other one?
Conference. They're in the conference.
Yeah. So yeah, how do you think the standard? I appreciate obviously not playing now in there, but how do you think the standard compares from then to what you see now for Welsh League?
I think when I started playing, I played for Camarthen. I'm lucky enough to have played in Europe. I think 10, 11 times with Camarthen and Carmarthen. So them experience
for bragging, that is.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the one thing I had to get in. That's the only good thing I got. That's the only one good thing in my career. So I had to drop that in at some point. No. It's different. I think it was a lot more physical. When I was playing 20 odd years ago. It's probably a lot more technical and a lot more tactical now. Probably 15, 20 years ago, it was a 4-4-2 against a 4-4-2, and you just went out and you battled the person in front of you. And if you won 8 of your 1-to-1s, or 8 of your plays on your team won your 1-to-1s, you tended to win the game. Whereas now, obviously being involved, and I've still got friends who were involved in it, and I helped the coach the Wales C team, the Wales semi-pros against England semi-pros for the last couple of years. There's a lot more tactics. You're talking about boxes and diamonds, whereas 20 years ago, mate, it was you're playing against him, get on top of him, duff them up and win the game. So I think it's different. The tactical and technical is probably a lot better now, but the physicality is probably dropped off in comparison.
There's so many more people. I don't know what it's like at Welsh Premier League level, but obviously you look at players in the or teams in the Championship and even Leagues 1 and 2. There's so many people involved now behind the scenes. So not just the manager and the assistant manager. Obviously you've got all the physios, dietitians, analysts. When you break it down and look at how many people are involved in running, say, a first team and second team, I suppose going back to 20 years ago, I wouldn't imagine is half the amount of people back then.
No, we had I'd say when I played for Camarthen in the Welsh Prem, and I think we finished in second behind Barrytown a couple of seasons. We had a manager, a coach, and I think we were quite forward that we did have a fitness coach at the time who was doing some quite innovative stuff, but that was pretty much it, and a physio. That was it. There was no analysis, no goalkeeper coaches, no dietitians, anything like that. So look, it has moved on in that direction. For me, I'm glad I played when I played, because the camaraderie, I think, and social media, I think that's taken a lot away from the changing room, which I absolutely loved. Was a huge part for me, being in the change room and the banter and on the bus rides and having a couple of beers and things like that. That was the important thing. And as I've gone on in my career and coached, that has tended, from what I see, to have kind of died down and gone backwards a little bit. A lot of people were, they come off the pitch and they straight on their phones. They straighten in their hair. Things like that certainly wouldn't have happened in.
That's why Angel lost, or is it Neil.
Yeah. Straightening it too long, straightening it too many years ago.
One thing I've always been interested in with Welsh Football League and Welsh Prem especially is now and obviously previously, how much impact does like the big 3-4, if you like, have on the Welsh leagues and things like that for Cardiff, obviously Swansea, Newport, etc., and of course now Wrexham. Do they have much involvement funding wise or any way, shape or form? Do they help out in any way, shape or form with them?
No, I think that's probably reduced, Rob. I think there's probably a lot more youth players that go on loan into Welsh Prem teams because, again, like I said, it's very different to academy football, which is, you know, you have the ball, we have the ball. You know, is a lot more physical. They get you know, roughened up a little bit, which ultimately I think is a great experience for them. You know, when they go back to their club. I suppose, again, going back when I played 20 years ago, there was something called the Premier Cup. Which was brilliant for the non-league teams because they had Cardiff, Swansea, Wrexham, Newport, Merthyr, and you were drawn in a little group and you play against them teams, and that, you know, that generated a massive amount of interest. We certainly enjoyed, you know, playing against the so-called bigger teams. You know, they didn't play their first teams, don't get me wrong, but if people, you know, wanted a run out, or if people needed a little bit of fitness, you know, it was a mix of YTS players at the time and reserve team players and first team players. So for me, when that competition went, it was a bit of a shame because I thought it generated good interest. And as far as I'm concerned, that the players and the experience, you know, going to play at Ninian Park and the Vetch and Newport and things like that, they were fantastic experiences. For us, you know, we didn't win many and we didn't get many touches of the ball, but you know, just being on them facilities, you know, it was a fantastic experience.
Was the FA Cup equivalent, really, isn't it? You know, for Welsh clubs, and you must have read my mind because this is something I wanted to bring up with you. You may well have already have seen it, both of you. There was something put together about Newport, well, the big four, if you like. Joining back into the Welsh Cup and partaking in it because obviously they've been away from it for some time. I'm guessing, based on what you just said, then that you'd be open to that as a suggestion, or
yeah, look, there's pros and cons, and having the clubs back in, I think certainly generates interest and development and opportunities and crowds and things like that. But then I suppose when you look at it from a Welsh Premier point of view, that if they then take one or two of them European places, it then becomes a negative. You know, these clubs play in Wales. They predominantly have got Welsh players and coaches, and then for somebody to come in, you know, and take pretty much what is the ultimate prize for Welsh Premier clubs, you know, is probably a bit of pill to swallow. So I see the pros, I see the cons. Like I said, having them teams in it definitely generates interest. But like I said, on the flip side, it might take away somebody's ability to play or experience Europe, you know, as a Welsh team.
As a Cardiff fan, I don't agree. I don't think we should be in there taking a spot from someone from the Welsh Prem. You look at the success TNS have had in this season's European competition, and I think I read somewhere, didn't they have like £600,000 in I'm not sure, we're funding or whatever, and the TNS chairman shared it between other Welsh clubs and things.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Mike Alice has put a certain amount back into all the clubs, which obviously, you know, he didn't need to do a significant amount of money, and a fantastic gesture to kind of to go back in.
Yeah, awesome, absolutely awesome.
I did see as well, just last thing on that, that Merthyr, I don't know how true this is. Obviously, Merthyr in the English Premier as it stands, and they proposed to rejoin the Welsh League. Apparently, I don't know how true this is. I've seen a few snippets knocking about for the last couple of days. Have you seen anything like that at all?
Yeah, well, I had a season or two up Merthyr as well, and I loved my time up there playing in Yeah, playing at Pendarren on the grass at the time. And that was a great experience. It's a great club. The league was really good, really physical. I don't know. From what I see, I'm not sure that there's much appetite from the fans to kind of join back in from what I've seen. I think that they're happy where they are. They like playing in, I think it's the Southern League that they're in now.
Right.
So I don't see there's much appetite in there, and I'd be surprised personally if they did drop back in. So I know that Colwyn Bay were in a similar situation up North Wales 4, 5, 6 seasons ago, and I know that they're now back in kind of the Welsh pyramid and have been in the Welsh Prem. So I don't know how it's gone for them, but I don't know. From what I see and having been at the club for a year or two, I think that they're happy with where they are and what they do.
Amazing.
Would they get more funding from being in the English leagues than what they would probably do in the Welsh leagues then?
I got to be honest, I don't know. Matt. I'm not sure.
I would imagine they would, with the English leagues being so much bigger and things. But again, I wouldn't have a clue, to be honest. My cousin's a season ticket holder up in Merthyr, and he came on the show a couple of weeks back, and it'd be interesting. Perhaps Rob, we'll have to get him back on and have a chat with him about that. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? But he loves it up there. He said, it was brilliant. So
yeah, look, it's a great club. I honestly love my time up there and the fans and the atmosphere and the different environments and going to different grounds. It's for me, it's a proper club, and like I said, I really enjoyed my time there. But I think they're happy with their lot at the moment, and obviously now they're owned by the fans as well. I think so. The fans would have a big say in that, and from my experience, I think they probably want to stay in the English system at the moment.
Yeah, we went up there for a pre-season tournament. I took the boys up there a couple of years ago. It's changed now. We don't play on the football pitch now, but I say pitch on their the AstroTurf that they got there.
Carpet.
Yeah, and they were great. It was. Do you know what? Of all the years I've been doing coaching the kids and things like that, that's the best I went to. So well run, so good, great facilities around, and it was just so great. The kids could play on a proper football pitch. I say proper football pitch, but you know what I mean, a proper football stadium, and it was fun. They were good as gold, and it's a shame now that they don't do the tournaments there pre-season. It's I can't think of where it is. It's somewhere else, basically related to the stadium, but it's not in the football stadium itself,
Okay.
But yeah. Let's talk about you again. So during your career, then, I'll check a few questions at you, if I may. Over your football career, did you ever have a chance to go? Obviously, you mentioned for Merthyr and Newport and things like that, but did you ever have a chance to go football league permanently and things like that?
No, look when you're young, I think most people had a trial. I had a trial at Cardiff. I was really small until I hit about 15, 16. I had a couple of good seasons, like I said, when I was at Newport just before I was going to uni. We were in the Bees of Southern, which is now one below the conference, and I played quite well. So they thought that there might be a couple of clubs that were coming in. But ultimately, I went to uni, and I think come of it, it was always my dream to be a football player, as pretty much most kids I think have. But no, I wasn't close. It was never even close. I would have liked it, but I think I found my level, which was semi-pro, and that's pretty much being realistic. That's pretty much where I was.
What would you say is? What would you say is your most memorable game in a football shirt?
Oof,
Got to pick one out. I know you mentioned a couple of European nights.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Probably the one that jumps to me was out of all of my European qualifier in Newtown. We drew an Irish team, Longford.
yeah.
They're in season, so the games were July, and they play a summer season, so they were kind of mid-season, and it was pre-season for us. We went out to Ireland, we lost 2-0 in the first leg, so we come back to Wales second leg. You know, I think they were 2-0 up. They thought they were flying. They brought a lot of fans over, and we turned them over 4-1. So we went through into the next round. So for me, you know, that was an unbelievable. That's probably the one that sticks out for me, in terms of expectations, in terms of how it happened. Because I think we scored 3 or 4 in the second half, which took us through, and then the kind of next round after that, it took us out to Copenhagen. So we played Copenhagen home and away. So that's probably the one that jumps out to me from an atmosphere point of view, an expectation point of view. You know, that's one that really, you know, lives in the memory.
Awesome.
That's quality.
The comment there from Rhys David Evans when you mentioned there about Longford playing in the summer. What are your thoughts on the Welsh leagues maybe changing to a summer season?
I think in Europe it'd probably give them a better chance, because you are going up against players, you know, in June, July, August, that are in season. You know, we're coming off the back end of a long old season, you know, so you don't get a break, and if you go right through, then you fatigue then, because you could be going pretty much 2 seasons. I like the winter personally. You know, I like the grass, I like the mud, but that suited my style in terms of not being much of a player, but much of a bit more of a kind of grinder. Do I think it would be beneficial? Yeah, I probably do. I do think it'd be beneficial, but I know it comes with a lot of logistical problems in terms of other seasons, other sports, and things like that. But I suppose with the introduction of 4Gs, I think the majority of Welsh Prem grounds now are 4Gs. You don't get them cancellations as much as you used to, and trips up the Bangor and Porthmadog on a Tuesday night. So I do think there's benefits in it, but like I said, personally for me, I'm you know, a bit of an old traditionalist. I like the mud, I like the rain and the cold. So I think there's people who get paid a lot more money than me deciding them factors.
Yeah. Rhys mentions you as well. This is a great comment, I think. Rhys says, think during the off season for the championship, we're all looking for that footy fix. And most would probably go to the Welsh League games, I feel. Which would
I think that's a fair comment. And I do think Welsh Prem clubs are trying to jump on the back of that a little bit more, you know. So I know that if Cardiff City are away, I think the Barry, Cardiff Met offer, you know, half price for your season ticket, that you can get in half price to watch them games for the footy fix. But yeah, definitely, like you said, there's a lot of fans who are mulling about then on a Saturday looking for something to do, and if it's in the summer, then potentially that's a good angle to approach it from as well.
There's a conversation me and Rob have had a couple of times, and I think you wanted on the Craig Bellamy live event we went to. What was the name of the chap who was meant to come, Rob? Noel Moody, was it?
Yeah.
Noel Mooney.
Yeah, the CEO.
Yeah, that's right. But it was a conversation we've had a couple of times about, obviously, with the grassroots football now and the kids being 10, the amount of games that get called off because of the weather and things. You know, would it benefit the kids playing more through the summer? Like, a lot of places, some places have access to 4G, 3G pitches, but then clubs are having to shell out more.
Yeah.
You know, more schools around the Caerphilly County Borough and the Gwent and the Lisvane leagues now have access to them, but they're not always open and available on weekends.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that's a conversation to be had, really, to help benefit the kids and keep them progressing, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think, like I said, my boy is under 9s now at the moment, and they were due to go to grass this year. And to be honest, we were not dreading it, but we were thinking, you know, with the weather, the chances are November to February, probably 50-50 week in, week out. And again, for the people who I think who are on the verge of, you know, don't absolutely love football, and if they don't play regular, the chances are that they'll go, look, after 6 weeks, look, I haven't been for 6 weeks, I ain't going to bother. So I think we are lucky that the under-9s have managed to secure a schooling in Cumrumney. So they have their tournaments on there. And again, is great to see, that they have 3 1-hour sessions, and there's probably 8 to 10 teams at least on every single session, playing. Whereas if they're on grass, because my nephew is a year older than my son, I know that last year he really played November, December, January, just because pitches were used on the Saturday. They were waterlogged, the weather, and like you said, that's not good for development. They need to be playing if they're going to improve.
Yeah, I know. We went to, obviously you're the same. Your boys in the same league as in the Lisvane league, and we went through it last season. I was our first season on grass, and it was great. But yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that they've managed to do that for the under-9s for this season, and I do hope that it continues, and I do hope that they look at something for the further years. I appreciate obviously the importance of getting the kids playing on grass. Don't get me wrong, because it is a different animal. Like we took our boys up to Abertillery last weekend, and they played on 4G. Like that's their pitch, is a 4G pitch, and the kids for the first 5-10 minutes of the first game were like, "What the hell is going on?" Because the ball was moving so quick, and our team we got going out at the moment is quite capable. We're quite a decent team, and they were just like, "What is happening?" Because the ball was just absolutely spitting off the pitch so quick. It took them quite a while to adapt, but obviously, this is what it is, isn't it? But
yeah, and I think that links back, Rob, to my earlier comment about big pitches, little pitches. I think you've got to vary it. Putting them on grass, like you said, is a completely different beast. It doesn't roll, and then you've got to put a bit more on it, or they've got to take a bit more off on a 3G. Like I said, the pitch that I grew up on, which you might be aware of, is a show field in Cairn Forest. It's like a flipping. It's uphill, it's downhill, it's left, it's right. If you can play on a show field, you can play on anything. And for me, them experiences of playing uphill, playing downhill, playing on grass, playing 3G, it's about exposing the players to as many different scenarios: long grass, short grass, big pitches, little pitches. It's just all them experiences which makes them more capable, decision makers. So when they do come across it, I bet if you went onto a 4G again, I bet the boys would go, "Oh, right, this is faster. Don't pass it so hard. It's got to go at the feet," and they've learned, which ultimately is, I think our job as coaches is to help them to learn and make decisions, and providing loads of different environments and situations for them, which are new to them, means that when they get older, if they've experienced it before, they can solve that problem a little bit better, and they probably become better players for it.
Also want to jump to Rhys Evans a second question. Let's say you made head now of Welsh football tomorrow. What would you change to help kick the Welsh leagues and improve the standard?
I think the infrastructure now is there in terms of pitches. Again, majority of them are 4Gs. In terms of, I would try to get something with the big, the professional clubs involved, because I think that generates massive interest. And again, I think probably one of the main things is trying to generate that interest in and around the leagues. So I probably would get them in. I don't know in what guise or what you could offer them, because obviously it's got to be mutually beneficial. Looking at the academy systems, making sure that they're in. But for me, it all starts at grassroots. And for me, getting people playing, getting coaches who are knowledgeable about what to do, how to do it. Again, I know that going through coaching badges helps people. But for me, there's a bit more after that. It's kind of the mentoring and just keeping an eye. You go on a 2-hour course online, all of a sudden doesn't mean that you know what you're doing. So to have somebody there to support you and go, right, well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And again, just making better coaches for me. If you can make better coaches at all levels, then you build a nice big wide pyramid down the bottom of talented and capable players, and as they get older, that pyramid just gets bigger, and hopefully that rises through the age groups and through the system. So that would probably be the main thing for me. Would be getting the coaching right and the support right at grassroots. I think that would be key. But again, that's long term. You do that, you might not see the benefits for 8, 9, 10, 15 years, because it takes that time for things to bed in and then structures to work, and for them players to develop and improve.
I don't think Colleague or Camarthen would let you hand your resignation in anyway, Neil, would they?
I don't know. I wouldn't be so sure. They might be happy to see me go through the door, Matt. They've been there a long time. I'm not sure.
I was speaking to Gareth Bisp this afternoon, so he told me to give him a shout out tonight. He said, "Can you find him some more work to do, because he's never very busy?" He said. He said you'd probably confirm that as well.
Absolutely, his name gets mentioned quite a lot in the staff room. So
no, he's a character. He's going through a bit of a tough time at the moment because his dad's not well and things. But great character. And obviously, ties to Panthers Rugby Club, but he's a top bloke.
I bumped into him either yesterday, Matt, or the day before. We had a chat, and he was speaking about his dad, and obviously his dad is from the same kind of village as me and things like that. So I know Sid. So yeah, he's a top man. Is Bispy.
Awesome.
So how did Astra College come about then?
In terms of me getting employed there?
Yeah.
I suppose I finished my degree in teacher training. And that summer, at the end of my teacher training, so I'm a trained secondary school PE teacher. I went out to the States. I went out to New York to coach for 7 weeks, traveling around New York as part of a company. And the bloke, it was quite a big company. The bloke who I kind of chatted to at college. Now I knew, and he told me that at the end of that summer, he was moving out to the States, so his job was going to become available. So when he handed his resignation in, I think mid-August, end of August, he knew they'd be in a flap because they wouldn't have somebody to replace him. So he gave him my number, and I think they more desperation than anything else, and being in the right place at the right time. I took over there, Rob, and God, that was 2000. So I qualified in 2000, and I've been there ever since.
Is that how Brendan Cropley got a job as well? Then was it?
Brent, actually, I spoke to Brent. I spoke to Brent today because he does a fair bit for the FAW at the moment. He's in charge of like the research centre, so research around.
Oh, he's next on my list. Then I may as well have all three of you.
Yeah. He looks at all the research and coaches and coach education.
Wow.
When they have their big conferences, he obviously delivers on things like that. So yeah, he's overachieved. Let's just say I think he's overachieved.
I was going to say, he sounds like he has him.
Yeah, with what he's got, he's overachieved now. He's a top practitioner. I come across people, and usually they split into people who are very good practically and people who are good academically. And I think he's one of the rare breeds who's very, very good practically, but very, very good academically as well. So I got to say that just in case you get him on and he says something about me.
100%, mate. We have to arrange for that.
We've had Cohen on, haven't we?
Yeah, I've had Cohen. I got yourself. I have to get him now as well. I got to get a trifecta.
The other one who you might or might not remember, he's the principal now, is John Morgan. So he's the principal. He's ex-Cardiff City professional. So John, he was my boss. He might have come in a year or two after you, but he was there quite early. He's the principal now. So he's head of Colleague of Camarthen. Yeah, he's ex-City professional. Got injured early. I think he'd done his ACL. He was in and around the same time as Cohen. Because he showed me a couple of videos of him. I think he scored against Fulham, and he showed me a video that Cohen has gone down the line. I think Craven Cottage whipped it in, and John has got like an open goal. He's 6 yards out. hits the bar, hits him in the face, and goes in. So I said to him, I said, how do you miss that? He said, you're not thinking. He said, I was on an assist bonus and a goal bonus, so I hit the bar. I had the assist bonus. It hit me in the face and went in. So I got a goal bonus as well. So yeah, he's a great bloke to have in the corner. Very good at his job. But yeah, he's the top dog, at the college at the moment.
Wow.
How important was it, Neil, having obviously the college must have supported you with your football, like you said, travelling up north on a Tuesday night or whatever. Were they really supportive? Obviously, I know they would obviously get a benefit out of you doing their things because you're passing in knowledge on to the youngsters in the college. But was that a big positive for you, knowing that they were supportive?
Yeah, like you said, John has been my line manager for a long time and obviously being an ex-pro. He understood being a semi-pro. Can't fault them. Absolutely can't fault them. Anytime I needed anything, half day, or I get back early, I'd make my time up. European games, when I went out coaching out in the States, I finished a couple of weeks early so I could do a long summer out there. So yeah, look, I couldn't speak highly enough of the support that I had and still have from them. Through my coaching badges, sometimes I was off for a week, long weekends, absolutely brilliant. And I've not once have they ever said to me, look, you can't do that. So probably without the support of people at the college, individuals and the college itself, I wouldn't have been where I am now. So I am thankful that and I'm very lucky and appreciative that I've had that support for, since day dot, for 24, 25 years.
Awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah, it is a very good college, mate. In fairness, it's clearly very well run. Jokes aside with myself, but it is a very good college.
It turned over a leaf, Rob, after you left, I think.
I know. It went up a grade afterwards. Like.
Yeah, it was an upward trajectory as soon as Rob left. The
only thing that's gone down is the canteen sales.
Hey, I weren't this big when I was in college. Let me tell you.
You weren't, Rob. No, you weren't. I can remember you, tall and skinny blonde hair. I can remember them days.
How I'm fat and old. But anyway, one thing I want to talk about before we start to come to an end, talk about what you're up to now is we touched upon it when we talked with the other day, Neil, about your father-in-law with his record at Cardiff against Cardiff. If you could share that with us, please.
Yeah, my father-in-law was a pro at Cardiff. Again, I'm probably talking mid-80s, perhaps. So Lyndon Jones, he's from Blackburn. He held the record for a very long time up until recently. He's the youngest player ever to be sent off for Cardiff City. I think he was. I've chatted to him about it. I think he was just turned 17, and I think he got sent off at Blackburn. So I don't know if the record is still there, but he was the record holder for the youngest player ever to be sent off for Cardiff, and he held that for quite a long time. I still think he owns it. So yeah, I bring that up to him quite regularly.
Was he a straight red, or was it?
I don't know. I tell you what, it would have taken some doing to get a straight red in them days.
I was just thinking, what the hell did he do to someone to get a red?
I think he smacked someone in the chops. I think he was young and they got in his ear. He's turned around, give him a clip. And to be fair, Lyndon's probably only 5'5", and I'm probably being quite generous to him there. And I think he's turned around. He's probably had to jump and give someone a clip. and he's had a red. So I'm not sure if it was a straight red or 2 yellows, but yeah, he held that record. And I got a feeling he still holds it.
Oh, Rhys there, Evans, he Googles everything in the chat. He'll let us know. He's a cheater. I don't know if you've seen, we do a quiz on a Wednesday. We do have a guest on, and Rhys always cheats and Googles everything. So,
a question I wanted to ask as well.
2 seconds.
Obviously, your playing career. How old is it when you finished playing, Neil?
Well, at a decent level. I was probably played till I was 37, Welsh Prem, 37, 38. I
And
think,
then you started doing your coaching badges before you
Yeah.
finished, or
Yeah, I started doing a bit again. I was playing at Camarthen with again another old Cardiff City player, Mark, Welsh international. Kind of took me under his wing. So yeah, I think I'd started. I'd done my kind of B license when I was in college, just building it up, and then I think when I was at Camarthen, probably around that time, I started doing my A license. And then I went through and done my pro license when I was down at Camarthen. So yeah, I played decent level. I think it was probably till I was 37, 38. It petered out, and then I think he kind of retired me. Then he just didn't pick me anymore because I was kind of coaching. So
you ended up taking his job in the end, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Yeah, I did. After that, I obviously still see him, and he was fine. He was fine about that, but yeah, he kind of retired me on the quiet, so I didn't have any official retirement. It was you can still get change, but they just never put me on anymore. I had we're talking 2 minutes at the end here and there.
Yeah, it's bonkers, isn't it? It's bonkers. So obviously, from an early age, then you had aspirations of going into coaching after you finished.
I don't actually know if I did, to be honest, Matt. I always wanted to be involved in it, and I paid attention when people spoke, and I learned a lot of people and people I was in uni with, and I watched them go, and I wouldn't say I planned it. I probably more fell into it, a little bit. I started taking little bits and pieces of training sessions when some of the fitness stuff, and then I started going into meetings and then a couple more phone calls. So it probably wasn't something where I sat down and thought, look, this is the direction I want to go. It was probably more just a gradual change and transition from playing into coaching and into management.
And how hard was it then? Like, how many times a week did you have to travel down to Camarthen for like training and things like that?
Yeah, we train once a week, and that was a big thing for us, because it's a fair trek. But obviously, then on our one session, everyone trained, and you were expected to do your own like gym and fitness work around that. But obviously, you were down there for games and things like that. I suppose when I went into management and being, having been a coach and an assistant, it's a different beast. Being a number one, the amount of phone calls, issues, problems. You're no longer just involved in terms of coaching and picking players and contracts. You get involved in kit and training kit, and if the radiators are going to go on, and if are we stopping for breakfast? What hotel are we going to stop in? What time should we leave? And for me, it's okay, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I like being on the grass. I like being in and around the players, having a bit of fun, taking sessions. So I found that transition. I found being the sole person in charge. I got to be honest, I found that difficult. I come home from a full-time job, and sometimes literally I'd be on the phone 3-4 hours. I can remember being on holidays, where we were out in June, July, and people say, that's the off season. But for me, that was probably just the busiest season. I'm on the beach with the kids, and my phone is ringing. Do we want to sign this player? They want this. What do you think? And you just never switch off. You never switch off. Even when you're out with your family having a meal on a Friday night or a Thursday night, you're there. But you're thinking, well, if they play a diamond, how do we switch this? And if I put in there, and if he does this, how do we do that? So you're there in body, but your mind is never there.
It's a 24-hour job, isn't it?
It is.
7 days a week.
It's relentless. It's relentless, and it was a great experience, and I had lots of good support and a good team around me. But it was relentless, as well as having a full-time job and being a dad. And that's probably what it come down to, that I probably want to spend a bit more time with my family, and that's probably where my decision was made from.
So as it stands at the moment now, you're not managing at the moment. I know you said earlier you're doing things with the Welsh C squad.
Yeah, no, that suits me. That is, I've done that for the last 3 years, and again, the manager who's been doing it was my manager at Camarthen for donkey's years. He's the manager of the Welsh Sea for the last, and that suits me because if it goes ahead, you get the nod in January. You go watch games, you go watch players, which I still enjoy, and it puts a bit of pressure back on to get back into the groove. But then you go into camp. You go into camp, you have a 3-day camp, you play the game, and then it finishes. And you go WhatsApp groups and you chat about it. Whereas when you're a club team, that never stops. That never stops pre-season. So it suits me. It's short, sharp, it's intense. You're in. It's really hard. It's really enjoyable. But as soon as it's done, it's kind of done, and you can get back then to reality. Like I said, whereas when you're managing and you ask anybody who manages at any level, regardless if it's his local league, they've got to book pitches, they've got to book refs. People are not happy that they only play 25 minutes. Why are they sub? It becomes an headache, which at the stage I was at, I didn't need to do it, and I wanted to change my direction. So the Wales Sea stuff suits me, and has suited me for the last couple of years. And I've really enjoyed it. And to be fair, we've had some quality results, and we've had a couple of players that from them directly from them games have shifted on and gone into I've gone on to pro teams, which is brilliant for us.
So for those of you who don't know, could you explain a little bit about what the Wales Sea team is? Where do you get your players from?
Yeah, so we get our players from the Welsh Prem. That includes TNS, who were full time. We didn't have any actually TNS players this year because I think they were playing in the Iron Brew Cup final a couple of days later against a Scottish Rhodri or Partick Thistle or somebody like that. And then we play against teams from the nationwide conference. So obviously below League Two, but obviously they are still full time. A lot of them are full time pros, and it's like I said, it's a great opportunity for our boys to go up, always massively underdogs, to go up and see where they are, see what level they're at. And again, it's a huge shop window because, like I said, there's a couple of boys that have gone on. Probably the best one has been Will Evans, who scored 2 against England 3 years ago. I think we beat them 4-0. It was one of them games where before, if they'd offered you a draw, I would have taken a draw 1,000,000% of the time. But it was one of them games. We were 30. I think it was 35 minutes. We were 4-0 up. It was one of them games. We were a bit like, wow, what's going on here? And off the back of that, he went to Newport. He had a couple of good seasons at Newport. I think he scored against Man United last year in the FA Cup.
Yeah,
he's now at Mansfield. And a couple of boys a couple of boys have gone on from that squad, performed in that game, and taking the opportunity, which for us is brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic.
Christ, time has absolutely flown by. So we'll start to wrap it up, as I'm very aware of the time. So I'll just jump to a few comments in the section, if I may. Where we go. Jonathan Davis says Kanga could do with some 4G training. Do you follow Cardiff then, Neil, or?
Yeah, I always look out for the results because I've got a lot of, like you said, a lot of my history.
Most of your family played for by the sounds of things.
What's that? Yeah,
most of your family played there.
Yeah, a lot of people, I've played with, played against. My boss, obviously I work with Cohen. A couple of the coaching staff at Cardiff City. I know Gav Chesterfield, who's in charge of the academy. Matty Blocks is a Blackwood boy. I know Tom Ramasat, who's with the first team. Tom's my age, so I played against him all the way through the age ranges. Done a couple of coaching badges. Played with him semi-pro. So yeah, I always have a look at the results on a Saturday and see how they're going. And hopefully I am going to try to get down because we've got a caravan down west. So it closes up from November to March. So I always try to catch a couple of games then in between that window.
Yeah, brilliant.
Potter Butcher says it's a headache and the Teds. Rob Mack can vouch for that. 100%.
Absolutely.
Yes, Chris.
Absolutely.
Put that one up as well. Lyndon Jones was the youngest player to be sent off for Cardiff City, receiving a red card on February 28th, 1979. At the time, he was 17 years old and playing a 4-1 win over Blackburn.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, so yeah, he like you said, he's not very tall, so I think he must have jumped up and headbutted or swung a punch uphill to connect it, unless he punched somebody in the guts.
But to finish off, then, if we may, what is Tom Ramsdale's like coaching like? What's his speciality? Attack, defense, etc. I ask because he's the only one to survive about 6 or 7 different managerial sackings. No one knows what he does. Good question.
Again, look, having played with Tom, and done my, I think I've done my A with Tom. He's a good person. He's a good person, which is probably one of the key things. You know, he understands players. I think he was at Norwich for a couple of years. He's a great guy who you can talk to. I didn't see much of his sessions. He's what I did say is, and see, you know, as part of the course, you know, he's very meticulous. His coaching sessions, from what I seen, were very good. He was very knowledgeable. So I got to be honest, I don't know, but knowing Tom as I do, the fact that he's a top person will probably be helpful. But again, his coaching skills, his manner, his knowledge, and his thirst for the game was always really, really good. So I'm not sure what he does specifically down there, but the skill set that he had and that I've known him for would stand him in good stead, I would imagine.
We'll have to have him on and ask him.
Yeah, I think, like you said, with footballers in this day and age, I think a lot of footballers perhaps nowadays need that arm around them, where perhaps 20 years ago, rightly or wrongly, they probably would have said, you know, it's saying this word, but man up type of thing, get on with it. Whereas by now, you've got to be a lot more careful. Mental health is a big, massive thing nowadays. And I think not only mental health wise, but I think players can get too big for their boots at an early age, perhaps. And I think it's important to have somebody with a good head on their shoulders type of thing who can put an arm around people and, you know, take them the right way, like lead them on the right path.
And like I said, Tom definitely comes from that kind of background in terms of relating well to people, relating well, putting his arm around people rather than, you know, a shouter and a screamer. So again, like I said, knowing him as I do, I would imagine that's a really big strength of his, but not taken away from his, you know, his football knowledge and his ability to coach on the field.
I did want to ask one more, Rob, before I let you wrap up. Is that all right?
Yeah, go for it, bud.
And this is more for Neil to kind of pitch his thing. I wanted to ask. I've seen some things on old Facebook of you do some kind of training academy with Danny Thomas. How's that going?
Yeah, so Dan again, one of my best mates from Blackwood, old ex Cardiff City. I think I'll give him a mention, but I think Sam Mann called him a mini Diego Maradona at one stage. But I think his career went downhill after that. I don't think he played very often after. So I don't know if Sam Mann was trying to sell him or I don't think his career any
he
favors.
Was lightning. Yeah. He was fast as well, Danny, if I remember, wasn't he?
Yeah, look, for me, and again, just going off one of the best players I played with, because I wasn't a fantastic player. But anytime I got my head up, wherever you were on the field, he was there to give the ball to, and he could look after the ball. So yeah, you know, like you say, he's a good mate of mine. It just comes off the back of some things, to be honest, Matt, that I do think that clubs and teams need that, which I mentioned about that support a little bit earlier. We've talked about big pitches, little pitches, goal position, how you change little things to, you know, affect the decisions people got to make. You know, historically, we coach how we were coached, and we do that. So if we were coached, and I was, you know, up to the fence and back, do a lap of the pitch, get into a line, pass back and forth, I think it's changed a lot since then. But if people are not aware of that, then you still coach like that. And I think
it's brilliant. And some of the things you said tonight, I'm thinking, there's things that we can put in place in our training sessions now, especially when you said, creating a 3v3 game and perhaps moving that on from 3v3, chuck it in 5v5, and just see how the kids react.
And again, I think that's
brilliant.
That's where the business kind of comes from. Is I like doing the coach ed stuff and going out to people. I delivered it to the coach at Pentramel where my boy plays, and look, some people jumped on board with it. Some people said, "Nah, that's not the way we want to do it." Because what I'm not saying is the right way, but obviously from my experience and the research and knowing and speaking to people in academies, and now seeing the evidence of how my boys team do it, I'm convinced that if you can get out and support people and say, look, if you're standing in a line and you get one kick in 19 or in 4 minutes, you're not going to improve. If you can get 30 kicks in 4 minutes, you're going to get better. So yeah, we do bits and pieces. We do one-to-ones, group sessions. We go out to clubs and deliver sessions to coaches, and that's that's ultimately what we kind of enjoy doing, trying to help people, because these grassroots coaches are absolutely brilliant. They're the lifeblood of the game. Without them, it doesn't happen, and they want what's best. They want what's best for their kids and their club, but I don't think they're always supported as well as they could be. And maximising that hour a week that they've got with the kids is beneficial for everybody. So that's pretty much where we're looking at. And that's what we enjoy doing. Hopefully, helping coaches and players, especially in the local area, to get better.
We'll have
Get
to arrange.
Get him over to Fleur, Rob.
Yeah, No, I will. We'll speak afterwards later on, and I'll drop a message about that. Arrange for you to so we can book you to come down to us to spend some time with us if that's all right with you, mate. Yeah, don't worry about Pendulum. I'll screw them. Screw you, Chris, in the chat. No, Chris was watching along. He's under 10s coach for Pendulum Mal, and he's a good friend of ours. So, unlucky Chris,
Top
he's
man,
a flower.
Chris.
Yeah, he's a very good guy, very good coach.
Pentramel through and through now, boys.
Just you.
I've gone 3 miles. I've gone 3 miles from Ken Forest up the road. I'm up the Mauer now every weekend.
No, honestly, it's been class, mate. Thank you so much for doing this. I know it's been a bit wild, but no, I appreciate the input.
It's mad how quick the time goes. I feel like we could have spent perhaps another hour talking about things.
Oh, 100%. I still got things in my locker I haven't spoken about yet, in fairness. So if you're free at a later date, mate, if we can have another catch up, maybe, if that's all right with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've enjoyed doing it, boys. Thank you for the invite. Enjoyed doing it.
Many thanks to you guys and girls, etc. in the comments. Sorry we've not been able to get to them all. I've been too busy listening to Neil, to be perfectly honest with you. So no, thank you.
Makes a change, but I doubt you listen very much in college.
In fairness, he pied me off to go in. But that's a different story altogether. But no, thank you all so much for joining. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. And for the price of a pint of coffee a month, you can become an Ace Podcast Nation member, and you get early access to shows and obviously the Patreon shows and whatnot. Angel will be back on Saturday.
Yeah.
No, it's not match Saturday. You still doing a show Saturday?
Yeah, we'll be back. I'm not sure what time yet, but yeah, the 1927 podcast will be back on Saturday. Myself and Rhys, David Evans. So keep an eye out on socials. We'll post closer to the time, but yeah, we'll be back at some point on Saturday.
Lush. Neil, without further ado, is anything thing left to say?
Up the flower.
Yeah.
The day I die.
I can see how much that paid you to say that then as well.